Brittany Moore. We just ask that you identify yourself by name and affiliation. Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, and we'll open it up to questions now, please. Right down here to Dan, please.
Hi, Dan Galston, Associated Press here in Philadelphia. Playing as a number 13 seed can be daunting anywhere, but is it a little tougher coming into another team's home court, knowing that they're going to have a pretty big crowd here and a lot of support? Does that make the challenge even tougher for you guys, or is it the same no matter where you're at?
I think we're going to embrace the big crowd. I think we're really excited to play in front of a bunch of fans. And I mean, the March Madness holds what it holds. You never know what can happen every night.
I think we'll be okay. You know, I think we're used to playing in front of a crowd. Obviously not one as big as Villanova, but I just think, you know, as long as we come in and settle down, I think we'll be fine.
We have one in the back here.
David Melanger of Sports Talk Philly. What are your initial impressions about facing Villanova?
Well, I mean, you know, they have the Maddie, obviously. But, I mean, I think for us, it's just not so much worrying about her. Obviously, you know, she is a big part of the scout. But I think just, you know, making sure that we do everything that we can as a team to, you know, kind of limit them in some areas and just play our style of basketball and pretty much just rely on everything else to take care of itself.
Questions? Right down here.
Jacob Arts, Villanova Radio. You guys ranked second in the country in free throws per game. How important will that be against this matchup with Villanova, getting to the line and being able to slow the game down a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that getting to the free throws line is something that we take pride in every game. Getting to the basket and kind of drawing contact. That's something that we'll definitely focus on like we do every game.
Questions? One up here. Go ahead.
Zach Dipton, also Villanova Radio, but this is your guys' first NCAA tournament. What's the feeling like coming into it? Are you guys excited? What's the feel?
I think for me, I'm definitely excited. You know, I think nerves are always a factor. You know, I guess not so much as any other game, but mostly just excitement and just ready to get on the court and show what we can do.
Kyle Rossi, Horizon Roundtable. Mostly for Destiny, but I guess both of you. How many interviews do you think you've done over the last week and a half?
More than I've ever done before.
So I guess that follows up into my next part. You know, from Selection Sunday, kind of, you know, learning that you're going to come here out of nowhere, then, you know, coming to this day, in between all that, trying to prep for a specific opponent, things like that. I mean, how tough is that to deal with something like that you've really, honestly, never had before?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's cool getting the opportunity to play somebody that we've never played before, and then before knowing who we were going to play, having a wide range of, like, teams that we've never had the chance to come against before. But, I mean, this is definitely a really cool experience.
Questions? Do we have any other questions here? Going once, going twice. I think we're good. Thank you, Cleveland State.
Thank you.
We are joined by Cleveland State head coach Chris Kilsmeyer. And, Coach, if you could just give us an opening statement about tomorrow's matchup with Villanova.
Yeah, well, thank you, everyone, for coming to this and supporting women's basketball, Cleveland State University. It's been 5 years in the making for our program. When I first got here, you know, I was motivated for this day and to make this happen. And, boy, the last 3 years have been kind of crazy for life, right, for everyone. And our players and staff, our administration has done a phenomenal job to put us in a position to get here. And we're really excited to compete and show that we're not here just to show up. Happy to be here. You know, we understand that Villanova is an elite team. They have been all year. They are dominant on both ends of the floor, so we understand how big a challenge this is for us, but we're certainly confident in our abilities for the reason we're here, and we're excited to show up and really compete tomorrow.
And now we'll open it up to questions for Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We have Mel down in the front, please.
Mel Greenberg. Having beaten Green Bay was no small accomplishment for where they were in the conference. So how much of a springboard was that getting into here?
Well, in the past, they've been the standard of the Horizon League, and over the last couple of years, we've showed that we're right there at the top of the Horizon League. Maybe we're the new standard, and it took a lot. Green Bay and extremely well coached, tremendous players, and it took a heck of a battle for us to be able to win that game. And I hope that gives our players a tremendous amount of confidence going into this. But again, we've won 30 games, so this isn't about one team or one opponent. We're a confident basketball team and have been all year, and have some big games, have some big wins on our schedule, and know that this is going to take a great effort, but we understand how good we are as well.
Dan Gelson, Associated Press. Does it make the challenge more daunting, the fact that you have to come here and play in front of a largely pro-Villanova crowd and on their home court?
It's the way it is. So we've never talked about it. We've never doubted it. It's the NCAA tournament, baby, and you're excited to be in it no matter when, where, what it is. And, we don't make excuses in our program. We don't talk about hypotheticals and what if this or whatnot. We're excited that it's going to be a tremendous environment for women's basketball, and let's embrace it and be ready to play.
Back here. Go ahead, David.
David Melanger, Sports Talk Philadelphia. What are your impressions of this Villanova team when you were watching the tape preparing for them?
Extremely balanced, both ends of the floor. Everybody talks about how good Seacrest is, and rightly so, leading the nation in scoring for a reason. But they're so balanced. I mean, it's so much bigger than just her on the offensive end. Defensively, they're just tough. I mean, they're a big physical basketball team, and I think the thing that I've really learned the most with them is they're not going to beat themselves. Like, they're extremely tough-minded players, extremely well coached, and they're going to go out and make you have to really play their way. And obviously our challenge is to try to make them play our way, and that'll kind of be the game within the game. But they're really good, and I don't think I'm saying anything that anybody doesn't know already in this room.
Jacob Arts, Villanova Radio. You guys are 12-3 in your last 15 postseason games. So speaking of your success, how you be able to draw on those experiences to help you guys out tomorrow in an NCAA tournament matchup?
I appreciate you bringing that up. We've played in 15 games in the postseason in the last 3 years. Now, granted, they hadn't been all in the NCAA tournament, which is where we want to be, and we've had to work to earn that right to be here. I hope that it helps, but I don't necessarily play a lot into that. It's not going to give us a 5-point head start at the beginning of the game or something. We have to show that we can handle the environment, handle the moment, and settle in and really play the way Cleveland State women's basketball wants to play. And when we do that, we're really confident in ourselves.
Coach, you beat DePaul earlier this year, and so you have played Big East basketball. You know Big East basketball there. How has that game helped this team kind of prepare for going up against another Big East school in Villanova?
Well, that one there, I hope it helps us a lot, because that pace of that game was fast, and they got up and down the floor, and I think it kind of stunned our players a little bit at the beginning of the game, like, this is fast. And we had told them that going into it, and we kind of chased from behind it early on and kind of sunk us a little bit, and then we had to fight back and hit some big shots. And so I hope that our players can understand that we expect the pace of the game of how Villanova wants to play to be at that level, And we really have to make sure that we minimize mistakes, and that starts with not making mistakes defensively in transition. And we know that that's a huge part of how they play and how they win games.
Megan Morhart with the Philadelphia Inquirer. It's obvious on paper what Destiny does for you guys, but what has she really meant, just kind of maybe just from what you see in practice or in a leadership role, what has she meant to your team and getting you guys to this position?
Well, I mean, it started off the court because she's a local hometown kid that wanted to play at Cleveland State and said, being a Viking is where I want to be. And that's special because we all have that one place that's hometown, but for sometimes that's not enough for hometown kids. And it was for Destiny Leo. So what she's brought our program starts off the court. She's made us really relevant in Northeast Ohio, and we've really cracked the media blitz in that area and made Destiny Leo women's basketball and women's athletics something really, really big to talk about, even though internally on campus we already knew all that. We've got tremendous resources at Cleveland State. I work for powerful administration and AD that gets things done. Destiny on the court in between the lines is a very confident player because she puts the work in. You know, she works really, really hard, expects to be a great player because of what she does year round. To answer your question, when the ball is tipped, you know, she wants the ball in her hands and she wants to make plays, and she expects herself to do whatever needs to be done, even if it doesn't mean scoring. You know, she's had some games where she hadn't scored all that much because the defense has thrown a lot at her, and she's been able to facilitate and find other ways to help us win. So, you know, she means a lot to our program if I haven't made that clear. She's special on and off the court.
Any other questions? Got one in the front.
Kyle Rossi, Horizon Roundtable. We've seen locally back in Cleveland just media interest building and building as the season's gone on. What does that do for your program? Now you have this kind of official stamp on it with the March Madness logos behind you and everything. What can that do for your program moving forward?
Well, dang, this thing started off with getting asked a question from Mel Greenberg. I mean, how big a deal is that? Like, it just, you can't put a price tag on it. I mean, Cleveland State is hot right now. And back in Northeast Ohio, we've got fans for women's basketball that we probably didn't have a month or two ago. And, you know, I've been such a strong proponent for the game for a long time that don't dislike women's basketball when you've never gone to a game. Come to a game and leave and tell me you don't like it, because then you can complain and you don't have to come back. But if you come, you're going to like it. And I think we've made that impact on a lot of people. And so I think our program is really just going to be able to reach new heights moving forward from this, because we're on a national stage right now. And this is where we want Cleveland State women's basketball to be. And I couldn't be more proud of our players, our staff, our administration, just everybody that I get to work with. I work with amazing people, and sometimes that gets overstated, but it's phenomenal to come to work every day because it's not work. You get to coach a game and impact lives and give back to others, and to me, that's what life is all about.
Anything else? Coach, we thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Go Vikes.